Okay, so defining functions. Now, functions are just like machines. They take input, do something with it, and give you output, right? Now, in order to define functions, you start with a keyword function. It's a keyword because Matlab already does what? Knows it. I even made a mistake here. That's why it's appearing in blue. Okay. Let's say you want your function to calculate the perimeter of a square or a rectangle, right? Let's store our function in variable k. Okay, and let's call our function, let's say peri, right? It needs to take two arguments, the length and what? The width. Now, let's ponder over line 2. Function k is equal to peri, right? Opening brackets, length and width. What is this? What is this? Function is the keyword for creating our function, right? Now, everything we create, you have to store them somewhere. That is where we need the key, which is our variable to store our function. Now, peri, open brackets, length, w equals to key. You know that is an assignment statement, right? For instance, this w is equal to what? 3. You are assigning 3 into w. Nice. Let's continue. Now, our function peri is not anything that already exists. We are naming it peri, right? Now, the function needs 2 dimensions, or it needs 2 arguments to work with. Therefore, within the brackets, we give it the first argument as L. It is not compulsory to put L there. It is optional. It all depends on you. Now, L, W, they are just placeholders. Don't take them as strictly something you should bring. For the function, which is in blue, which is a reserved word, it is strict that you bring it in order to let Matlab know that, fine, you are creating a function. Now, let's go over it again. So, function k equals to peri, open bracket, L, which is the first argument, comma, your second argument. So, even if you wanted to put 5 arguments, comma, that, you're okay with that one. Let's go to the next line. Now, within the function, what is the function coming to do? The function is coming to perform a certain function, right? Okay, so what function is this function going to perform? Function perform the function. Okay, now we want it to calculate the perimeter. So you have to know the formula for calculating the perimeter, right? Which is 2 times the length times 2 times the width, right? Fine. Then let's assign this, okay? Let's store this. You know, you have to store everything, right? Let's assign this to some variable. Let's call it just ed. Just ed. We don't want to display the outputs, right? We don't want to display the output of this function. So we put the semicolon there. Now, let's display ed. Afterwards, after finding it, display ed. After finding it. Okay, then now we can end the function. Now, what is the end doing there? It is stating that our function has ended, right? Now, all this you see from line 2 to line 5 is called the definition of your function. Note that it's called the definition of our function perimeter. Now, the definition of the function just performs what the function does, right? Then it has performed what the function wants you to do. No, that's not enough. The function needs to be called. You have to call the function. It's like your servant. If you don't call him, he's just there, just waiting for you, right? How do you call the function? Just put in the name of the function and give it argument. If the function requires argument, there are some functions that don't require argument. Okay. So for our perimeter, we should give it length, right? Then width. These are the required arguments it takes. Why? Because when we're creating the function, we assigned, or we told it that take 2 arguments. Therefore, whenever you call perimeter, I'm supposed to give it 2 arguments. Now, here's the problem. We don't know our length, we don't know our width. You could be asking your exam hall that let the user input that. We will cover that in another video, so don't be worried. Let's look at this simple function performing function. Now, let's define, or let's assign, let's let our length be 2. Our length is 2. We don't want to display that. Get yourself hidden. Our width to be, let's use 2 for simplicity. Fine. By now, guessing your perimeter, right? 224 plus 224, 8. Right. Now, we know length, we know width. When we call the function peri, it will come to perform its function. The function will perform its function, then go. Remember this. Anytime you create a function, what is creating a function? You define a function. You are supposed to call it. If you don't call it, it's no use. Right? Where is our function call? In this code, our function call is at 4. And our function definition starts from 5 and it ends at 8, where you see the keyword end. Now keep this in mind. Always when you are coding, you have several lines of codes. Things are working. Your function definition should always be at the end of the code. What do I mean? If you have several codes here, let me put something here. For instance, you want to print out print f, which is mistake here, f print, another mistake, Christ, f print f, right? Good. We want to print, let's say go away, just like that. I want to print go away. This will result in an error. This code will result in an error. Why? Our function definition is not at the end. Your function definitions, they always like to sit at the back of the class. They don't like paying attention. They come to perform their functions and go. Let's try to run this code. We have an error. Let's read the error line. The error is in line 9, column 1. Let's see. Function definitions in a script must appear at the end of the file. Move all statements after the peri function definition to before the first local function definition. All they are trying to tell you is that the function is a bad boy. He doesn't like sitting in front of the class. Send him to where he belongs. Otherwise, he can't pay attention. Now, so let's cut this. Right? Let's cut the function. And let's send it to where it suits it, so he can pay attention in the class for us. Let's send the function definition to the end. Now, look at line 4 again. Line 4 is called a function call. We are just calling perimeter to come and do something. But don't keep the definition of the function within the code. It won't work. Your function wants to be defined at the back of the class. He's a bad boy. He doesn't want to come in front. Now, let's try to run this code. Success, right? So we called peri first. Because you called peri, it executed a function. So the function worked first, right? It printed 8, which is what? The perimeter. This is not nice, right? You should have printed something like your perimeter is, but we'll leave it up to you to go and practice that one. Then later, go away came. Why? Because the function was called first in line 4, and look at line 6. fprintf go away was now called, right? So it doesn't matter where you define your function. It doesn't matter. What matters is where you call your function. Now, let's go over this again. In order to create a function, use the keyword function, right? You can store it in a variable, then equal to, look at line 8, the name of your function. Then the arguments are very essential, okay? Peri is not the only function you can create. You can create volume. You can create, it all depends on you. You practice and you get it. Then all these are your function definitions. So whatsoever you want your function to do, you define it within. Then you end it with an end. You are supposed to end your definition, right? After that, call your function and it works. If you don't call your function will not do what? Perform anything. So it's up to you to call. This time around, only go away was executed because you didn't call your function. We took the function call away. That is why you're supposed to do what? Call your function. How do you call your function? Just type the name of the function and give it argument if it accepts argument.